Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. This is a PSE Dominator. It was the top of the line bow from PSE for about 4 or 5 years ago, and it features a lot of the technology you see today in Hoyts. It's weird, right? Anyway, it's got your split limbs. Now these limbs are just your Gordon glass limbs, and you'll see that these limbs look almost the same as the current PSE bows on the market today. They slim down here, they slim down here. Now that's the same as the new Citation limb. The cams are a hybrid cam, so the top wheel and the bottom wheel are different. So you've got a yoke at the top and no yoke down the bottom. That's the same as the Hoyt. You've got the limb stops just here, the cable stops here and down the bottom. That's the same as your new Hoyts. Shoot through riser. That's very similar to your current Citation and your Hoyts. Now with this bow, basically PSE made it so you can shoot it left or right-handed, which is a bit kind of weird because you didn't do it with the wheels, so they don't do that with the modern bows. But 4 or 5 years ago, this bow was really popular and it was well sought after. So for top of the range target archers. So sought after that I have to tell you the story. So I have this customer 5 years ago come into my store. I'm going to change his name. We're going to call him Dwayne. Comes into my store. Now Dwayne is a big man. He's a giant. So kind of reminds you of, you know, those big movie star guys who are just poof. Anyway, Dwayne is from the army. And Dwayne's role in the army was to tear people's arms apart. I think that was his role. He might have been a medic. It was something about doing something to people who aren't nice. Anyway, so Dwayne comes into my store, big man, and he wants to buy their latest bow. So, yeah, big military guy, and goes, "This is the bow I want. It's got to be black." Right, so he doesn't want no red bows or pink bows, definitely no pink bows because he's a big bloke, right? So this is the first of his bows, right? He's got a couple of other bows, but this is the first of his target bows, so it's got to be black. Now these strings are his strings. He physically learnt to make these strings in my store, but that's another story. So they would have been black originally, his strings. So Dwayne comes into my store and goes, "I want to buy the latest Dominator." Now back in the day, this bow would have been around $2,000. And I said, "Are you married?" "Yes," he said, "I am." And I said, "Have you got a permission from your wife?" He's like, "I don't need permission from my wife to buy a bow." I was like, power to you. I was like, but it might end up in your divorce. Anyway, he's a big bloke, and I'm picturing his wife of being pretty small, right? It's not to say she's not a small personality or anything like that, but I'm just picturing, you know, you don't see many 7-foot women, right? So anyway, 5 years later, Dwayne comes back to my store and says, "I want to sell you this bow I bought from you 5 years ago." I was like, "Oh, but you really like this bow?" He says, yeah, but I've got some new, I've got the Performs. I'm not shooting that much now. He's moved to the country, and he said, "You told me," that's Marla about to bark, "you told me 5 years ago when I bought this bow this would end in my divorce." I said, "Well, how'd that turn out for you?" He goes, "I got divorced." So, okay. And then my stuff goes, "Was that a good thing or a bad thing?" And anyway, go into the rest of Dwayne's story. Actually, I will go into a little bit of his story. He wanted to learn to make strings, and no one would teach him. He said, "Can I come into your store and learn to make strings?" I said, "Sure, I'll teach you." So he comes in. I'm not paying him. So he comes in and just sits on my string machine and learns to make strings. Now, when you learn to make strings, your first ones aren't great. They're not. They're generally not good, and they're generally they'll be rubbish and you might throw them away. This is one of his first sets, and you see he had a bit of peep rotation on it. But I tell you, like, Dwayne worked in my shop for about 5 years. and his strings got really good, and he only left because he wanted to go to the country and live on a rural property. So anyway, this is his bow, and it's going to be for sale. Now, when you look at a bow like the Dominator, which was a $2,000 bow, it's still a good bow. It's still a machine riser. It's got limbs like the current limbs. It's got, it's got wheels like your current wheels on current bows. The specs are pretty much the same. The speeds are pretty much the same. It's got draw length adjustability here, so you can adjust the draw length on the modules. Metal limb pockets. It's got all the modern cons. Now, this type of bow you're going to pick up super cheap because it's about 5 years old. So if you're new to target archery and you're going to say, well, what's super cheap? And that's a good question. You know, I kind of go, well, what should it sort of sell for? Now, I'd normally say second hand should sell for half price, but like the new Perform, last year's Perform, 2020's Perform from PSE, you're probably going to want to pick that up for about $1,200. So this one you want to pick up for under that. So I'm going to guess somewhere from $700 down. And at $700, what are you going to buy? You know, your PSE Stinger is going to be $550. This is clearly better than a PSE Stinger. You know, PSE Supra is going to be $1,400. I'd probably rather buy the new PSE Supra because it comes with a warranty than this. So you're going to go, well, where does it sit in the price point? And that's up to you to decide based on the quality, based on the quality of the strings, because new strings are going to cost you a couple $100 to put on. So, and you know, what accessories come with the bow. But I mean, my point is that this is a rock solid bow. It's 5 years old. He shot it heaps, and he shot it like in state competitions. He shot it in the Invictus games stuff, like the Defence Force archery thing that they do. I think that's the Invictus games where they fly to, you know, Defence Force people fly around. I'm not explaining that very well. Anyway, they fly around to see if they make the Invictus games for Australia, and they fly overseas and they compete against other Defence Force people. But he used this for about 5 years and eventually brought 2 more bows. I'm going to say he's changed a bit over 5 years, because now he has girly looking bows which are gold in colour. He's gone away from the black military look. So, but anyway, this is the Dominator, and that's the story of Dwayne. Thanks for watching. Bye.